Hey everyone, what is up and welcome back to another episode of Wintuition. I'm your boy CJ, also known as Papa Siege on Discord and Moxfield. And today we're bringing you a cEDH set review for Duskmourn House of Horror. And now this was a very interesting set. I was probably the least excited for this set out of our group from the channel, but nevertheless it has some really spicy art, some on flavor, horror themed connections, if you will. So pretty spicy. There are some interesting cards from the set that I'm excited to go over today, as well as some commanders. But before we break into the set review, I do want to just kind of do a discussion about the bannings from last week and our take on it as a channel. So at first, a lot of us were upset because obviously, you know, we like the shinier, more higher end versions of these cards that got banned: Dockside, Jewel Lotus, and Mana Crypt. Nadu, we don't really care about. RIP to him. Taking a loss on those did hurt a lot, but we're taking it on the chin. I'm partially excited because I don't have to worry about a Dockside anymore as a Tivit player. I don't have to worry about feeding a Dockside while playing my stacks pieces, and the game and meta does get a little bit slower, which is really nice because then you don't have to worry about, you know, someone having the gas opener and just winning on turn 2 and not having kind of anything on your board or even a field developed. So we are just going to accept these bans. We're still going to play with them because, again, we love this format. We love cEDH, and we're going to continue playing with it. You know, this is going to create a new design space moving forward for the format of, you know, what new commanders can be viable. You know, we may see an enchantment-based commander, you know, hit the meta, or a Urza making a comeback because of, you know, the Dockside band. So it'll be very interesting to see how the format changes with these pretty critical, or, you know, major is probably a better word, bans of these top well-known cEDH staples. But you can still look to us for more cEDH content. We'll be playing with the bans in place in our videos, and I am very fortunate we do not have any backlog content of gameplay using these cards, because that would have been feels bad for sure. And now I just want to take this time to thank the sponsor of the channel, TOA Magic, or TOA as they're known. They're the purple booth at Magic Cons and SCG Cons across the US. TOA, thank you for your support. We really appreciate you. And if you want to help support this channel and like the content we put out, and you're in the market for singles or seal product, you can go to toamagic.com and use our affiliate code Wintuition at checkout to save some money on those magic cards and seal product you're looking for. On the TOA website, they have over 77,000 SKUs and offer free track shipping on all orders. So it's really nice that you know when your package is coming, and it's coming all in one package, safe and sound, right to your door, rather than 30 different vendors, 30 different packages, and you don't know when they're coming because they shipped PWE. So, but if you're not in the market for singles or seal product, that's okay too. A simple like, subscribe, and share goes a very long way. We have finally reached 1,000 subscribers, and that is a huge milestone for us, and we cannot wait to celebrate this milestone with you guys. So stay tuned for that. We haven't decided what we're doing for this, but it should be coming out in the next couple episodes. And just another announcement, one last one before we get into the set review. We will be at SCG Con, Washington, D.C. this weekend, October 4th through the 6th, playing cEDH, and yes, some casual, all weekend long. I know I'll be participating in the cEDH 5K on Saturday, so we cannot wait to see you there and jam some games. I'll be bringing our mystery box filled with booster packs, and I'll be giving those out to anyone who jams a game. So, without further ado, let's get into our set review. So, starting off, we only have a handful of cards. This set was not a defining set for cEDH to shake up the format. We got the shake up of the format with the bannings, not this set. So, thank goodness. But there are some very cool commanders that I think may see play in the future because of these bannings. So, the first legendary creature I want to kind of go over from this set, one of our picks was Amanatu Veil Purseer. She is a colorless white, blue, and a black legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 2. So again, filling up that graveyard for a mnemonic betrayal. Since she isn't ready, you don't have access to breach, which kind of sucks, but nevertheless, It has each enchantment card in your hand has Miracle. Its Miracle cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 4. So very interesting design space. Again, not having a Dockside in the meta could make this viable. I don't know any strategies, but I just feel like there's something there. She has a 2/4 body, so it's not getting hit by Bowmasters. It does make a Rhystic Study cost 1 blue, which feels pretty sweet if you're drawing it, the turn you have this out, so you don't have, it's minimal mana investment when you draw into that card. Smothering Tithe, it's a 1 cost white enchantment then when you're drawing it for the miracle cost, so seems pretty sweet. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's something there. I may brew this just to see. I will be doing one deck tech video from the commanders we're going to be going over. So drop a comment below on which commander you would like to see a deck around. And we will be happy to do that for you guys. But nevertheless, some pretty cool things you could do here with Aminatou. Definitely, Sensei's top, maybe a scroll rack, a lot of top deck manipulation. Brainstorm might be making a comeback in the format. Who knows? But pretty interesting. That cost reduction by 4 is huge in my opinion. All right. So we're going to move on to another card that I think a lot of people are excited about. The Master of Keys, another Esper commander. This one has X, white, blue, black. Flying, when a Master of Keys enters, put X 1/1 counters on it and mill twice X. So a nice recursion strategy here as well with that milling of twice X. And then it has each enchantment card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus the exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. So I definitely could see a recursion strategy here with like Animate Dead, Necromancy, things of that nature. Since you are filling up your yard, you could put in, some big bodies like Vilis, Razaketh to reanimate those with your enchantment reanimator pieces. So yeah, it's interesting. The X part is a bit odd for me. I wish it was kind of just a set number, because you really don't want to, put, let's say, 4 into this and pay 7 mana for your commander and then it just get mana drained. It is definitely a feels bad, since we're going to see probably a more blue in the meta now that we've lost access to Dockside and Naya strategies per se. You may see that make more of a comeback in blue decks. So again, another interesting commander, being able to have a recursion strategy. The enchantment theme in this set is real, but I'm not sure how you would want to build this. Maybe a control build with some reanimator in there. It's interesting. So I think it's a pretty good card. I don't think it's, again, top cut or anything, but just an interesting build to potentially see play in the new format. Moving on to another interesting card, Kona Rescue Beastie. This is a 3 colors and a green legendary creature, Beast Survivor, has survival. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Kona Rescue Beastie is tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So I know a lot of people were hyped about this because, you can use a lot of Springleaf Drum effects to just tap this character and then put a Void Winnower, a Hullbreaker Horror if you have access to blue. If you're not running this, if you're running this as the 99 versus a commander, you can run stuff like that. Since, I would say there are a decent amount of big bodies in green and colorless, but having access to blue, putting a Hullbreaker Horror in, or a Tide Spout Tyrant, with this card in the 99 would be kind of spicy. It would be interesting to see if this gets ran in Kinnan, just as another way to cheat out big things for the deck. So again, a very interesting commander. You could do a lot of cool things with this, sneaking out some taxing beefy bodies, as stated before. I just don't think it's going to be viable as a commander. Green is pretty lukewarm in the format, and yeah, I think you're going to see this card in the 99. It may just stay in casual, but I don't know. It's just, especially now that Crypt and Jewel Lotus are gone, you're not going to get this out as quickly, and you have to see the Springleaf Drum or a Springleaf Drum type effect and have a card in hand. And again, you need card draw. Now, while you have access to Sylvan Library to refill your hand, if you don't have any kind of draw power on the field or a creature that can draw you cards, you're going to run out of fuel pretty quickly if you're just putting large bodies into play. So, that's Kona, Rescue Beastie. Pretty interesting card, but I do not think it's going to be seen as a commander, but maybe in the 99 of like a Kinnan deck for sure. Moving on to Winter, Cynical Opportunist. Winter is coming, folks. I really like the Winter. There's two Winters we're going to be going over. This is the first one. This is just a Golgari themed one. She is a 2 colorless or 2 generic black and green legendary creature, human warlock with Death Touch. Whenever Winter attacks, mill 3 cards, and then if you have Delirium, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile any number of cards from your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them. If you do, put a permanent card from among them onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So this one I think has a decent amount of potential. The reason being is it's a 2/5 body, so it has a big butt. It can get through without potentially dying. It also has Death Touch, so you're not going to want to be, trading a commander like Obnixilis or something like that with this card. It has the mill fuel when you're milling 3 every turn, so you're filling up your graveyard, hopefully with Reanimator targets. You could even go Vampire Tutor, Imp Seal, attack, mill it into your yard, and then potentially recur something. But I think with this, what makes this interesting is you're going to use a lot of cards that have 2 card types on them. For example, Urza's Saga, Enchantment Land, artifact creatures, like, I'm trying to think of a good one that's ran in cEDH off the top of my head that is in these colors. But any artifact creature, enchantment creature, things that have those 2 sub or card types that you can then only get rid of, have to exile 2 cards versus 3 or 4 cards to get one thing back, I think is going to be really, really spicy. Again, another really graveyard strategy, kind of like Master McKee's with the Escape. You have this one that's, again, filling up the yard, recurring something by exiling cards out of your yard based on the Delirium. Should be pretty sweet. I don't know, I'm just excited about this one. This one just seems really fun. Hermit Druid lines perhaps in this deck as well. I think there's a lot of design space with this card. I think also with this kind of meta change as well, kind of going back to our discussion, I think Wrath of the Archcage becomes a lot more auto-included in a lot of decks regardless. Just because I think you're going to see a lot more graveyard-esque strategies, potentially Hermit Druids coming back as well. So, but hey, I think this is a good card. And then we have the second Winter. Again, Winter is coming, folks. Winter Mythothropic Guide. I pronounced that awfully. That's okay. You can butcher me in the comments. Crucify me. This is 1 generic, black, red, and green. So Jund, again, losing Dockside. Yes, it's sad. But this is, again, very interesting card. Let's dive into it. So it has legendary creature, human warlock. Ward 2, very strong. Ward is just a great mechanic, especially in cEDH, because a lot of the times it is not dying. As a Tivit player, I have Ward 3, and Tivit never usually leaves the battlefield unless it's a board wipe. So it's probably not getting targeted. And then it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws 2 cards. And then it says, Delirium, as long as there are 4 or more card types in your graveyard, each opponent maximum hand size is equal to 7 minus the number of those card types. So again, focusing on that Delirium strategy, using card types that have 2 or more card types on the card to really restrict our opponents. I could see this as potentially a control deck for sure, using more mana dorks and going with a Blood Moon, things like that to slow down and restrict our opponents, and kind of using maybe like some sort of reanimator strategy in the late game, and then using our mana dorks to kind of maybe sacrifice off a Razaketh and find our combo there. But definitely more of a control build here. I think is more viable for this commander. You don't have the mill effect like the first winter, so you do have the kind of restriction for your opponents though, which feels really good. I will say Bowmasters is still in the meta, so it does feel bad that you put out a Bowmasters and then they just play their Bowmasters and they kill yours, and then you're taking 6 damage. Feels really bad. But again, I think it's a necessary evil at the moment. I'm sure it's going to be banned soon, so I'm waiting to get the axe as well. But it'll be interesting to see which winter sees more play. I think you're going to see a command. I think green black is going to be stronger than the Jund, even though it has access to more cards like Breach. I just think that the green-black version, doing a reanimator strategy, filling up the yard feels a lot better. Because again, you can go Soul Ring and then, have this on a turn 2 where, sometimes you're going to see this one maybe a turn later because of having that 3 colors in it, the Jund colors. So we'll see. Next is another one that I'm excited for. The Jolly Balloon Man. It is a generic red and a white legendary creature human clown. It has haste and is a 1/4 body, and it has pay 1, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control, except it's a 1/1 red balloon creature in addition to its other colors and types, and it has flying and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So, I will say with this card, it is a Kiki combo deck for sure. 100%. Put me on the record for that. We saw how Fable the Mirror Breaker is just a solid red card because it has the Kiki effect. It can do some crazy things. This is in the command zone. Very strong. I wish the ability was instant speed. You could do a lot more shenanigans with it. And because you're already limited to red and white, which very strong colors. A little less strong because the Dockside got banned, but nevertheless, having access to silence effects and things like that, having access to Kiki and other good cards in red like Imperial Recruiter and Recruiter of the Guard, very, very strong. You can find other, tutors that way as well. So I think this is going to be a cool fringe deck for sure. Again, not top tier or anything. I think it's going to see some play, going to see some testing. I think the lines are going to be fun. And again, I'm going to say it again. If you want to see this as the deck tech next week, let me know. Drop a comment. I think we've gone over all the commanders that we're going to highlight for potential. The next are going to be a couple legendary creatures, but let me know in the comments below what commander you guys want to see a deck tech on, and we are going to do it. Majority wins. But that's the Jolly Balloon Man. Pretty sweet card. Really funny art, in my opinion. So, moving on to Marvin, Murderous Mimic. A very interesting card. When I first saw this, you're like, is this a Sisay card? It could be, right? Like, as a former Sisay player, I love legendary creatures in general, so every time a new legendary comes out, I'm like, is this a Sisay card? And I think it is, because it gives you access to another Bloom Tender effect. It gives you access to another Faber Router effect if you have the other on the battlefield. So that's technically 2 activations versus 1. And it puts another body on the field. And it's only 2 generic mana, so, not much color, investment. You have to sink into this, which is also very good. It would be interesting to see how broken it would be if it said all creatures on the battlefield. But nevertheless, I think it's still it combos with a lot of different things. I think there's like right now a lot of people have been talking about the colorless combo that goes with it, where it can create infinite colorless mana with Pila Pala and I believe the Palladium, where you can make infinite colorless mana by untapping it. So, really interesting card. Pretty crazy cool art. I love the marionette. Puppet toy. Toys are scary, guys. I feel like like this is not Duskmourn. This is Sid's House of Horror with some of these. I know that there was the literally directly taken from Toy Story, the little baby doll head with the mechanical spider legs in the set, which I thought was amazing. Chef's kiss for that, like on theme. Um, but yeah, that's Marvin Murder's Mimic. Again, since it's colorless, it is not. I do not think it's ever going to be a cEDH viable commander, but you will probably see this in the 99 of a handful of decks that want to be able to utilize activated abilities of creatures they control. So that's Mervin. Next, another legendary creature, Volgavoth Terror Eater. A 9 cost, so 6 generic and 3 black, legendary creature, Elder Demon. Flying lifelink, ward, sacrificed 3 non-land permanents. That is insane. That's staying on the board. Unless someone is playing like a Timnatana where they have a plethora of 1/1s they can just sacrifice, it's sticking around. It says, if a card you didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Volgavoth. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than its mana cost. So, a lot of things going on here for me. So you have a Dalthy for all opponents, which is phenomenal. And then not only that, you have a Bolus of Citadel attached to this puppy. Except playing off the top, you're playing from exile. So, very good card. Flying lifelink, you'll be able to get the life back with a swing. And, being in cEDH, our CMCs are very low, so you can really capitalize maybe playing several, probably minimum of 3 spells per turn with this, if the right cards are going in it. And even if you cast a wheel, whew, gas. I think this is going to be an awesome Reanimator target in Reanimator strategies, along with Razaketh. I know Razaketh's probably going to be making a comeback from these post bans, so that's exciting. I've always been a big fan of Reanimator strategies in Commander, in Legacy, things like that, so very excited about this card. I love, again, as we all know, I love playing my opponent's cards, because it's fun and mean. But nevertheless, very strong card. Again, 9/9 body flying. The ward alone is just backbreaking. So we'll see if Volgavoth makes it into Reanimator-based strategies. I am going to go on the record and say it will. But hey, who knows? Maybe there's another spicy card that'll take its spot. Or Razaketh is just the way to go. Moving on to some other cards here. We're going to go into Withering Torment, 2 colorless and a black. Instant, destroy target creature or enchantment, you lose 2 life. Now that Dockside, again, is out of the meta, I'm going to keep saying it, it's a loss. Yes, I know. But enchantment strategies may have potential now. You have some cool new enchantment commanders, or themed commanders with Amanatu, Master of Keys. This may see some play because, again, instant speed is very important in cEDH, being able to interact on the stack. Destroying a creature is good. 3 mana, there's better options. But destroying an enchantment and instant speed is something we have not seen before. Feed the Sporm was the last card that we saw that can destroy an enchantment in black. So this breaks the color pie. And only really the only hit you're taking is 2 life and 3 mana. A huge, plus, because it's not a big downside to hit an enchantment, which things, you predominantly you could not hit in black pre-Feed the Swarm. So I think this is going to be an auto-include in a lot of green-black decks, or green-black decks, maybe even in Jund, if we see a resurgence in, Jund commanders, even with the loss of, the fast mana and Dockside. But just a very strong card. You're going to see this play in a lot of black decks, just in casual. Again, instant speed enchant removal in black, never seen before. So if you don't have this card, I think it's just a great card to pick up for at uncommon, just to have in your arsenal for sure. I mean, because again, this can hit a breach off the field, so very good card. Moving on to a tutor, Demonic Council. One generic and a black sorcery. Search the library for a demon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Delirium if there are 4 or more card types among your cards in your graveyard. Instead, search the library for any card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So, pretty interesting card. It's just a demonic tutor if you have Delirium, which is great in the late game for sure. There's going to be land, creature, probably an artifact when you're stacking a Lotus. So you're going to have maybe 3 to 4 cards for sure, especially if you have like a Urza Saga to hit that second land type for enchantment in your graveyard. I think that is what makes this card good, is the having the Delirium effect where it's just another demonic tutor. So a lot of black decks will run this and maybe cut it for the Grim Tutor, which is 3 mana and 2 life loss. I think this is going to be definitely an include in black decks, green black or red black decks, because it is just another demonic tutor. We're going to play the game again, folks. Is it a Sisay card? Nashi, Searcher in the Dark. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. You're going to call Nashi. So this is a blue-black, so pretty interesting. Blue-black, pumps Sisay. It is a legendary creature, Rat Ninja Wizard. Menace, whenever Nashi Searcher in the Dark deals combat damage to a player, you mill that many cards. You may put any number of legendary and or enchantment cards from among them into your hand. If you put no cards this way, into your hand this way, put a 1/1 counter on Nashi. So, personally, former Sisay player, opinion, I think it's decent. Reason being is a lot of Sisay players run Tyvar, which brings 2 or less back to field. So, not a terrible effect. You could get it back with Tyvar if you so wished. You also are able to get again, it's essentially draw 2 if you're hitting 2 legendaries. We don't play a ton of enchantments in Sisay. If you are on I know some, not many, run Oath of Nissa. If you're running a couple legendary enchantments, I know we run Oath of Teferi, so again, you have a chance to get some fuel out of this attack or damage trigger, which is really nice, and just essentially fill your hand more and see more cards that way. Yes, you are revealing to your opponent, but I think it's pretty solid. It does have Menace, so it's going to get through in the early game. It buffs Sisay by 2. And it buffs itself if you don't take any cards. So, again, now that we lose Dockside in Sisay, card advantage is pretty good. So, I'm going to say it's going to definitely see testing. I think it's decent. I don't think it's deck altering by any means. I think it's a viable Sisay card. If you want to run it, give it a shot. I think it's worth trying out for sure. So, moving on. So Razorkin Needlehead is a 2 red mana creature human assassin. Razorhead Needlekin has first strike during your turn, which you're probably not going to attack most of the time with this card because of its passive effect. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Razorkin Needlehead deals 1 damage to them. So all my odd players out there, go crazy with this card because this is an auto include in your deck. You're going to be seeing 3 cards per turn cycle. Super good. And I really think with this card, and keeping in mind the format is going to slow down a touch, and I think Blood Moon is going to make a comeback in red decks, red-black decks. I think this is an auto-include for those fringe players out there who play the god from Lost Caverns Ixalan, O'Hare, the red one, Deepest Might. Dealing 4 damage on upkeep feels really good. Yes, it does die to a Bowmasters on an extra draw, but still a very strong card, very good effect. So I think it's definitely going to see play in those red decks, but beyond that, it's not going to see probably play anywhere else. So, but auto including those decks for sure. Moving on to another pinger, Gleeful Arsonist. 2 generic and a red. Creature, human, wizard. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, Gleeful Arsonist deals damage equal to its power to that player and has Undying. When this creature dies, if it had no 1/1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. So, pretty sweet that it has Undying because it can die to a Bowmaster with that draw and then its ETB. And it comes back a touch stronger. So, pretty good card in the sense that it's going to deal that 1 damage that we want to deal with we have Ob out, as well as dealing 4 damage if we're playing a control build with the O'Hare that I just mentioned. And pretty decent card. 3 mana is pretty meh. I wish it was 2 mana with Undying. I think it would still be okay. It wouldn't be broken of a card. But let the world burn, man. With like red decks, just red control decks. Let's see them. I'm excited. But that's pretty much all there is to say. I don't think you're going to see many other decks run this card besides those red decks. Just like the Razor Head Needlekin. Alright. Moving on to another red card. Untimely Malfunction. For a generic and a red, it is an instant. Choose one. It is a modal card. Destroy target artifact. Change the target of a spell or an ability with a single target, and 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. I think this is a replacement for a Braid. Now, I will say, or I shouldn't say it's an replacement. I think it's an addition. Like, if you're already running a Braid, you're also running this. I think with a Braid, its appeal because it hits a Draenith Magistrate or an artifact is crucial, especially because, white is a very strong color in cEDH. But being able to have 2 additional effects, such as these, in an Ob Nixilis deck where you potentially want to, swing face and take out a player to remove a threat, having their creatures not block, pretty strong. And also protecting an Ob Nixilis, protecting a commander or whatnot, or a key piece on your board. Let's say, like an all will be one, but most of the time, if that's on the field, you're winning. Feels strong as well. I love modal cards because it gives you such flexibility, because it fills multiple spots in a deck. So if I can play multiple modal cards, I try and play them if I can. Granted, it's mostly in casual, but in cEDH as well, because our decks are a lot of our deck lists are so tight because there's not a lot of room for flex spots. So having one of these cards that have multiple modes that are a flex spot in and of itself for 3 different utilities is very strong. And then moving on to our last card, Walk-in Closet. Forgotten Cellar. So it is a 2-part card. So it has Walk-in Closet is 2 generic and a green. Enchantment Room. You may play land cards from your graveyard. And then Forgotten Cellar, 3 generic green. Whenever you unlock this door, you may cast spells from your graveyard this turn. And if a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, this turn, exile it instead. So it's a Yogg's Will. So yeah, not many decks are recurring lands from the yard. I don't think it's great. Because we have Gaia's Will, which I think only see plays in Cody. I don't think this is a meta warping card. I think it's very mid. It's lukewarm at that. But it is a Yogg's Will type effect in green, and we have one that doesn't see a lot of play, but I thought it was, decent to include because being able to break the color apply and play things from yard is a strong ability. We see it with Breach. Now, granted, yes, that is a 2 cost versus a 5 cost, but nevertheless, it's decent. So, but that's all the cards. I think we had a total around 14 cards, 15 cards. Again, nothing set warping, meta changing. Very interesting card design for sure this set. I think mainly you're just seeing cards that go into already established tier 2, tier 3 decks like Ob Nixilis, like Yuriko. There's a couple ninja cards in there, you know, the Nashi, things like that. Um, Sisei, very strong card as a commander. You know, we may see some utilization of the Nashi, of the Marvin in those decks as well. But it's very interesting to see what's going to be happening with the format. I know that as a brewer, I'm excited to kind of see what gets brewed from new players and what's in store for the format. It's exciting, you know. The unknown is in, you know, the fear of the unknown is scary, but it's also intriguing to me. So yeah. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss for words. I'm just that pumped. I'm just speechless. So, thank you all for watching. Again, we're going to be at SCG Con, Washington D.C. this coming weekend, October 4th through the 6th. So make sure you guys stop by and say hello. We're going to be jamming some games. Hope to see you guys there. And if you like this content and want to see more, feel free to check out our page on YouTube. We have tons of cEDH gameplay videos and a lot of cool, interesting battles, if you will, between different commanders. So a nice variety there. But I'm CJ, aka Papa Siege, on Discord and Moxfield. We're Wintuition MTG. We'll catch you next time.